Magandang araw sa ating lahat, kaibigan, kababayan, kapatid, kung nasaan man kayo po, especially ang mga Filipinos dito po sa Malaysia. Ito po si Nico Fabian once again inviting each and every one of you po dito sa programa natin Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Today is January 29 na po, Thursday na, and kunting araw na lang, 2 araw na lang, tapos pasok na tayo sa second month of 2026 and that is February. Anong ibig sabihin sa month of February po? Ibig sabihin po that we are going to celebrate dalawa. Very significant occasion, and that is Valentine's Day. The Day of the Hearts. Day of the Hearts po. And of course, parehas pa rin ang motive, that is red. No? Valentine's Day, ang motive, ang kulay, ang color of this celebration is red. And the next very significant occasion that we are going to celebrate next month po, that will be another red color, and that will be the Chinese New Year po, no? The Year of the Fire Horse. Year of the Fire Horse po. And kailan mag-umpisa ang Chinese New Year? If I'm not mistaken, it will jumpstart on February 17 po, no? And sa mga Kristiyano, believers or faithfuls of the Roman Catholic, if I'm not also mistaken, na February, the following day, February 18, we are going to, 18 ba yun? Yeah, we are going to start ang puasa or fasting month ng mga Kristiyano po. No? That is Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday po. And of course, mag-umpisa na din ang mga kapatid natin na embracing the Islam faith, and that is puasa po, no? Month of puasa. So sabay-sabay tayo po, Christians and Muslim, will be observing ang fasting month natin po. While ang Chinese community natin po will be enjoying for 15 days ang celebration ng Chinese New Year. And why 15 days po? Kasi tradition, Chinese New Year is being celebrated for 15 days. And the last day, that will be, I think, March 3, if I'm not mistaken. Last day of the Chinese New Year, they call it Chop Gome, signaling the end of Chinese New Year. So let's hope and pray that everything will be running smoothly starting next month po, no? Next one will be, I think the last day will be Saturday for January, and February 1st will start on Sunday. February 1st will start on Sunday. Anyway, nandito po ang programa natin na lahat mga overseas Filipino workers, kung nasaan man kayo, mga Filipino communities natin dito po sa Sabah, sa Malaysia po, ang mga kapatid, kaibigan natin sa Pilipinas, no? And mga senior and super senior citizens po, I wish each and every one of us a blessed and fruitful and problem-free Thursday po, no? Ngayon. Alright. Umpisa na tayo po. Ang first topic natin po will be discussing, no? Ang importanteng issue that I want to discuss with you now po is tungkol na naman po sa Pilipinas, no? Dahil nakita natin po for some secretaries, no? If you remember, some secretaries are being appointed by President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos for the past few months po, no? But under the Constitution, for them to be appointed po, they have to be approved by the Commission on CA. Yan CA po. Commission on Application ba yan po? No? Ang CA. So, we look at it, parang they did not get the approval coming from the CA. Coming from the CA. So, is it legal or illegal? The position that they are holding now po. All these acting secretaries po, or any other position that did not pass or get the approval coming from the CA. Constitutionally, are they mandated to carry the duties and responsibilities, or ano po? So this is the issue that we are going to discuss, because sa Senado yesterday, during the session yesterday, in the Senate session po, the issue was raised by Senator Rodante Marcoleta. By Senator Rodante Marcoleta. So we are going to touch on this thing later on po. In the meantime, let me give you, dahil maraming mga Filipinos dito po, no? Coming from Basilan, coming from Zamboanga, coming from Tawi-Tawi po and nearby areas, na affected din po ang pamilya nila dyan po sa sea tragedy that occurred last Monday ba yun? No? Ang Tricia Christine tree na it was sunk dyan po sa Basilan the other day. And it was reported that we have a total of 18 fatalities and still missing po 10 people or 10 passengers po. So what's the latest developments tungkol sa sea tragedy? And I will share with you now po ang report na coming from Zamboanga City on the latest updates regarding this incidents po, the sea tragedy that occurred dyan po sa Basilan. Tricia Tree left Zamboanga City bound for Holo, but while maneuvering the coastal area dyan po sa Basilan province po, it encountered problems and it sank. Po. So what's the latest ngayon po tungkol dyan? And let me share with you itong video clip po, no? Itong video clip. Sandali po. Okay? Saan na yan? And Tricia 3. Hold on, Tricia 3 tragedy. Saan na yan? What is our queue here? It's 350. 350. Where is 350? Nandito po. From the Philippine Coast Guard.
Umaga kanina nang dumating sa Zamboanga City ang 19 na technical divers ng PCG para sisirin ang dagat ng Basilan at hanapin ang lumubog na MV Tricia Kirsten 3 at 10 nawawala pagsakay nito. Bitbit nila ang mga diving equipment mula Maynila gaya ng ROV o remotely operated vehicle na ito na may kable na hanggang 300 metro. Sapat para sa 76 na metro na tinatayang lalim ng dagat ng Basilan malapit sa Balok-Balok Island. Isa sa nakikita ngayong hapon ng diving team ang mga pating sa dagat ng Basilan.
May mga balita lang na medyo marami daw shark. Hindi naman po infested pero may mga sightings. Delikado po yun.
Actually, nag-extend na kami ng search area at pinaigting namin yung aming coordination sa mga coastal communities, coastal barangays, hoping na mayroong mga survivors na napadpad sa area. Yung mga maliliit na mga isla, pinagtanungan din natin yun, baka mayroong mga na-recover sila na mga survivors na hindi lang na-report sa atin. Dumating na rin kanina ang investigating team ng PCG mula Maynila para alamin kung ano ba talaga ang nangyari at lumubog ang Roro. Ang Philippine Navy naka-standby sakaling kailangan pa ng tulong sa search and rescue. Sa pinakauling tala ng PCG, 316 ang survivors, 18 ang patay, 10 ang nawawala na puro crew ng barko, kapitan nila at isang tauhan ng PCG. Pero sabi ng mga naghahanap na kaanak hanggang kanina sa Zamboanga City Port, may mga pasahero pang nawawala. 6 na school administrator din ng DepEd Sulu ang hindi pa umano makita. Kung sakali man, unfortunately, they already perished, at least makita natin yung body ko, yung katawan. For the benefit of the families also. We're still hoping for a miracle. So, nasa po tayo na maaaring maka-adrift sila, no? Napadpad sila sa mga isla natin. So, we're still hoping. Dahil grounded ang buong passenger fleet ng Allison Shipping Lines na may-ari ng lumubog na Roro, apektado ang mga biyahe ngayon pasulu at Basilan. Ang mga biyahero nag-uunahan sa mga ticketing office ng mga barko sa Zamboanga City. Ang mga bata at matatanda nakasalampak na sa sahig sa tagal ng intayan sa ticket. May ilan na ring stranded mula pa kahapon. Mabilis kasing napupuno ngayon ang mga barko ng 2 shipping line dito na sumalo ngayon sa mga pasahero ng Allison Shipping Lines.
Ewan ko na lang, saan kami nito? Magpunta, wala din kami saan magpunta. Sakto lang yung pera namin pamasahe.
Kahapon pa kami dito. Kaya na lang talaga umuwi.
Wala mapunta namin dito. Wala kamag-anak namin dito sa Zamboanga. Galing namin sa namin.
Sa Isabela City sa Basilan naman, nakikipagsapalaran ng ilang pasahero sa tinatawag nila ritong jungkong o yung mga motorized bangka na ang iba ay walang katig at wala pang life vest. No choice si Al Mustafa dahil may hahabulin na flight sa Zamboanga City papuntang Maynila. Kaya sinikmura na lang niya ang pamasaheng 500 piso kada pasahero.
Magano na lang kami, mag-jongkong sa wala nang ticket, fully book na daw. Kailangan ko na may check yun kasi kung totoo yan, hindi talaga allowed yun. Tama po yan.
Pabala naman ng Marina o Maritime Industry Authority,
hindi po basta-basta na nag-increase po ng pamasahe ang ating mga operators.
sabi kahapon ni DOTR Secretary Giovanni Lopez, maglalabas ang Marina ng special permit sa ibang shipping lines para saluhin ang mga apektadong pasahero. Magbibigay din daw ng libreng sakay ang barko ng Coast Guard pero hanggang kanina wala pang libreng sakay. Sabi ng Coast Guard, inaantay pa nila ang abiso mula sa Marina.
Okay, yan po ang latest updates tungkol sa Tricia 3 tragedy po, no? Dumating na po kahapon ang mga equipments ng Philippine Coast Guard po to execute ang operations nila and investigation on the sea tragedy. And of course, medyo may problema. We are facing some problems in Zamboanga City po, especially residents coming from or originating from Basilan, Sulu, or maybe even Tawi-Tawi po dahil they don't have enough sea transport in going back to their respective provinces. Although the government, the Philippine Coast Guard, earlier already announced that they will be giving free transportation po para sa mga stranded passengers in Zamboanga City po to return back to their provinces po. But so far, they have yet to see that sea transportation or a barko po or vessel po coming from the government. And as what was mentioned in the video clip that I have just shared with you now po, the stranded passengers in Zamboanga City po, they are having a hard time in booking the tickets, no? To go back po dahil limited lang po the vessel plying the route Zamboanga City to Basilan and to Holo po are very limited po. And there are some reports already officially mentioned po na there are illegal sea taxis po, yung jungko, no? Which is not safe for traveling passengers po, no? To use. Medyo mahirap yun po, and the fare has tremendously increased po, no? Ang pamasahe po was tremendously increased because of this situation po. Some people are taking advantage of the situation po. So, I hope and pray na ang gobyerno will come in speedily, no? And assist itong mga stranded and those who want to go back to their provinces po from Zamboanga City, no? From Zamboanga City. Shoutout muna tayo kay Rosalinda Gumahad, who is also watching ang programa natin po. And mayroon din tayo dito si Fly Peregril, also watching ang programa natin dito sa Nick Talk, the Real Talk with Nico today. Maraming salamat sa inyo po and Godspeed. Godspeed po. Alright, let's move on to the other topics that I want to share with you po. And this time around, let's go to our main topic. Our main topic for today is about the appointed secretaries, cabinet secretaries of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos po, no? Are they carrying out their duties and responsibility as appointed secretaries based on the Constitution, or they violated the Constitution po? Yesterday, during the Senate session, no? Diyan po sa Manila, sa Senate House po in Manila, now, si Senator Rodante Marcoleta raised the concern and issue about these appointments po, no? And for the first time, or very rarely, si Senator Ping Lacson po agreed with the sabihin natin privilege speech made by Senator Rodante Marcoleta tungkol sa issue. And not only Senator Ping Lacson, but also ang Senate President natin, si Senate President Vicente Soto. Likewise, other senators po, they agree with the concern raised by Senator Marcoleta regarding this appointed secretaries po, no? Dahil under the Constitution, it says that the President can appoint somebody to be a secretary, but they have to submit themselves for scrutiny po, no? By the Commission of Application with CA, no? Yun po, no? Yun po. But apparently, some of them was holding position already now and carrying out the duties and responsibilities for more than 2 months. Some are even coming up to 6 months po without any approval from CA. Without any approval from CA. So, I will share with you now po itong video clip, ang privilege speech made by Senator Rodante Marcoleta. No? The privilege speech made by Rodante Marcoleta. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this privilege speech of Rodante Marcoleta. Hold on, ha? Hold on. Saan na yun si Rodante Marcoleta? Alright, let's watch and listen to this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise today to raise a constitutional alarm. We are witnessing an unusual situation in our bureaucracy today. At a time when local unrest and tumultuous global headwinds threaten the well-being of our kababayans, a growing number of crucial government agencies are being led not by duly confirmed cabinet secretaries, but by officials merely serving in an acting capacity. And this brings us to a disturbing reality in our bureaucracy today. Mr. President, what is at stake is not merely the reputation of individuals, but the integrity of our public institutions. As we speak, several key government agencies are being run by acting secretaries, officials who wield immense power, control billion-peso budgets, and approve critical infrastructure projects, yet have not undergone confirmation. These agencies include 1. Office of the Executive Secretary, Department of Finance, Department of Public Works and Highways, number 4, Department of Justice, number 5, Department of Budget and Management, 6, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, 7, Department of Transportation, and the last, the Presidential Communications Office. Hindi ito mga maliliit o mga basta-basta ngayon sa Mr. President. These are core institutions of our government. They control our money. They enforce our laws. They build our infrastructure. They defend sovereignty. They speak for the President and the Republic. They are alter egos of the President. Nevertheless, they are run by officials whose appointments or nominations have never been submitted to the Commission on Appointments for confirmation. Why does this matter, Mr. President? Because the Constitution did not leave this to discretion. Section 16, Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution provides, and I quote, "The President shall nominate and with the consent of the Commission on Appointments appoint the heads of the executive departments, ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls or officers of the armed forces from rank of colonel or naval captain, and other officers whose appointments are vested in him in this Constitution." The Constitution is very clear, Mr. President. It compels the President to nominate or appoint heads of executive departments, among others, and submit their appointments to the CA. The word "shall" makes it mandatory, not optional. Rest command is being defied.
Alright, yun po, no? Narinig natin si Senator Marcoleta. And this time around, I will share with you po ang reaction, the statement made by Senate President, Senate President si Senator or Senate President Vicente Soto, no? Vicente Soto. Let's watch and listen to this po.
Based on a Supreme Court decision, a cabinet official who is in an acting capacity may only serve for 1 year. There is a Supreme Court decision to that effect. And then what would happen would be circumvention if they are appointed again in an acting capacity and avoiding the Commission on Appointments. Now, may we know how many? I hate interpolating from the chair, no? But in as much as you are discussing it already, may we know how many cabinet officials are now in an acting capacity? As I mentioned, Mr. President, at least 8. What about the DNR? Also, the DNR is included, Mr. President. I guess you'll be the victim of the three-strike policy that the CA has. Because he was bypassed twice. Nakadalawa na kasi, Mr. President. Yeah, so he was bypassed twice. The second bypass was in December. All right? Now, was he appointed after that? He should have been appointed in an interim capacity. So what is he? There is no secretary of the DNR right now.
Yon po ang question ni Senator Soto, and he supported itong concern ni Senator Marcoleta po. And let's continue with Senator Senate President Soto po. Let's listen another video clip from Senator or Senate President Soto po.
As far as I recall, an acting secretary may not appoint anyone in his cabinet. That's the way I recall it, and I don't think he is allowed to sign for a certain amount of budget or funds. That's why an interim appointment is important. That's how I recall it. I can stand corrected later on.
Yun po, sabi ni Senate President Soto, as far as he knows, na unappointed, acting lang po, secretary po, may limitations yun po. They have limitations po, no? They cannot even appoint positions po, no? People to hold positions po. But we saw that there are some, let's say for example, si Secretary Vince Dizon, he appointed already ang mga tao dyan po sa Department of Public Works and Highways. And when it comes to approving budgets or funds po, no? Since you are just acting po, may limitations kayo po. So, what is happening now po, whether ano ba ito po, under the Constitution or they violated po? They violated. And let's see po what will happen next. No? Now that the issue has been raised by Senator Marcoleta during the session yesterday. Okay, let's watch and listen also ang reaction na coming from Ping Lacson or Senator Ping Lacson po. No? Let's watch and listen this video clip coming from ang statement or reaction na coming from Senator Ping Lacson, who also agreed with the concern of Senator Rodante Marcoleta. All right, let's watch and listen to this po. Sana yon? 131. 131, sana yan 131. Nandito.
That's why, Mr. President, I'm wondering why Malacanang has not issued at interim appointments because as mentioned by the distinguished gentleman from Tarlac, Marami to. DOTR, DPWH, Executive Secretary, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Budget and no, acting lang talaga si parang OIC na si Yosek Toledo because his career. Secretary of Finance, at least 7, PCO, at least 7 cabinet secretaries are in acting capacity. So I wonder why Malacanang, in spite of, I've reminded even acting secretary Bida during the last Blue Ribbon hearing. I approached him. You better remind Secretary Recto about our conversation that you should be given an interim appointments because we'll be resuming session on Monday. I remember telling him that. And he said, yes, that's the reason why I'm leaving because I'm having a meeting with the acting executive secretary. But even then, wala rin po nangyari kasi nag-resume na tayo last Monday and no interim appointments were signed by the president. I wonder why this is the case, Mr. President. Do you have you would like to venture a guess or you have an information?
Your guess is
Alright, yun po ang reaction, statement made by Senator Ping Lacson during the discussion dyan po sa Senado yesterday. And during the discussion, nagtindig din po si Senator Erwin Tulfo po and asked for clarification po on the rules, no, tungkol sa appointment of mga acting secretaries po. And nag-chip in din po ang some ideas si Senator Miguel Zubiri. No? Let's watch and listen to this brief video clip, no? Which I have prepared para sa mga followers natin dito po sa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Nandito po. Let's watch si Senator Miguel Zubiri.
The point made by the good gentleman from Palawan in the Philippines is that they had already gone to the CA, but that was for their previous appointments as I believe Secretary Ilya was for Department of Energy and Secretary Ralph Recto, yes, already got confirmed as Finance, but not yet as Executive Secretary. Secretary Vince Dizon was approved in DOTR, but not as the PWH Secretary.
Yun po, klarong-klaro po, no? Si Secretary Dizon, for example po, he was approved by the CA as Secretary of Transportation. But unfortunately or luckily or whatever you say, na si President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos replace him para magiging Secretary of Department of Public Works and Highways. But there is no approval from CA. No approval from CA. And now, he is carrying out his duties and responsibilities po as full secretary po ng Department of Public Works and Highways po. No? So these are the issues that ang Senado po, ang Senado will be looking into it. No? And let's see what will happen next. No? What will happen next po. Kailangan ito mga secretaries po, they have to, whether you like it or not, seek the approval coming from the CA. Dahil po, during the scrutiny sa CA po, they will determine whether qualified, capable, itong mga appointees ni President Ferdinand Marcos to the position that he appointed. He appointed itong mga acting secretaries po. So let's see and wait po, what will happen next po. Now sandali, mayroon tayo dito mga ibang balita which I want to share with you po tungkol sa the other day I mentioned about ang resolution passed by the Senate wherein 15 senators po approve ang resolution po, condemning ang remarks made by the China ambassador in the Philippines po, no? In the Philippines. And of course, maraming mga negative and positive criticism, comments po regarding the issue. And one of the issues is that kailangan lang po diplomatic approach to this problem para ang ties between Philippines and China will not be really affected po. Dahil if this will hurt also ang China, no? Baka ang effect, domino effect dyan po is mahirapan na naman ang buhay ng mga Filipinos po at saka ang bayan natin in terms of ang country's economy. Remember, China is one of the major, if not the major po, no? Trade partners natin po, no? Trade partners ng Pilipinas. And remember, marami din, more than 500,000, if I'm not mistaken, ang overseas Filipino workers, no? Diyan po ngayon nagtatrabaho sa China, no? Be it in Hong Kong, be it in Macau, and mainland China po. So what will happen if mag-aggravate itong problema po, ang problema natin po mas malaki po in terms of the economy po and ang buhay ng mga Filipino po. Not only the overseas Filipino workers but also ang mga Filipino po sa Pilipinas po. Dahil when it comes to the agricultural products natin po, no? Millions, thousands of tons we are sending sa China po. We are selling to China and China is accepting it po. And because of that po, we may mga revenues tayo po by the millions po. Now, if this will be stopped, na dahil lang sa maliit na problema, then kawawa ang mga Filipinos. Kawawa ang mga. Now, let me share with you one, mayroon yan na speech made by China ambassador to the Philippines sa Manila po, si Ambassador Jing Quan, no, the other day, and I managed to get a portion of the speech po which I would like to share with you po. May puntos din siya po dyan sa speech niya po. Let's watch and listen. Let's watch and listen to the portion of the speech made by Chinese ambassador to Manila or to Philippines po, si Ambassador Jing Wan. Jing Wan. Saan na yan po? Hold on, ha? Mayroon tayo dito. Alright? Hold on. Hold on muna tayo po. Jing Wan. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this.
Best option is to sit down for talks and solutions in a diplomatic way. So at present, our diplomats from the two sides, they're working very hard toward this goal. So, and I have already reached some consensus on a roadmap for the next stage dialogue and negotiation. So this year, the Philippines is the chair of ASEAN. Both sides all hope to accelerate negotiations on the Code of Conduct for Parties, we call COC. So, to this end, consultations are becoming more frequent and more intensive. So both sides, we all want to finish COC negotiation by the end of this year. So if we can reach COC, that will be very helpful for the regional stability and very helpful for the long-term China-Philippines relations. Even if we cannot reach a solution quickly, it is essential for us to keep the communication line open, refrain from taking provocative or confrontational actions, and prevent tensions from escalating. The South China Sea issue is only one part of China-Philippines relations. So we still need to have a more bigger picture in mind. As President Marcos said, let us not allow these differences to define our whole relationship. Our differences should be the exception in our ties, rather than the norm. So over the past decade, China has consistently been the Philippines' largest trading partner and the largest source of imports. China never seeks the trade imbalance. Instead, we welcome the Philippines exporting more to China, especially high-quality agricultural goods such as durian, mangoes, and bananas. At last year's China International Import-Export, 3 durian exporters from Davao concluded deals worth $36.6 million US dollars. So I'm very happy to see that BYD electric vehicles are very popular in the Philippines. Labubu is also adorable to Filipino youth, and Pop Mart has opened its 4th store in Manila. Misha ice cream and Taji milk tea are popular on the streets, while KKV and Minasol attract large crowds in shopping malls. Huawei, Vivo, and Xiaomi and other electronic products are selling very well. But at the same time, I also hope that more China's high tech could be used here in areas such as solar, green energy, new energy, environmental protection, and the digital economy, so as to support more faster and better economic development in the Philippines. So recently, we have been discussing garbage to energy cooperation with the local business community and the governments. At present, landfill remains the primary method of garbage disposal in the Philippines. So this approach is inefficient, polluting, and dangerous. Chinese companies, however, possess advanced technologies. If introduced in Manila, such technology could process up to 10,000 tons of garbage per day, help to protect the environment, in addition to generating 2 billion kilowatt hours of electricity annually. So this would mean significant reduction in the price of electricity. Last month, the China-India Bukana Bridge over the Davao River was successfully completed and opened to traffic, shortening travel time from 2 hours to just 20 minutes. In addition, Chinese companies are currently building one bridge in Manila and another in Davao. So once finished, these projects will greatly improve local transportation and promote economic and social development. There are many such kind of good examples, and the potential for China-Philippines cooperation is enormous. Well, I have to say, sound economic and trade relations do require stable political relations and a more favorable business environment. Over the past 2 years, Chinese investment in the Philippines has lagged far behind that in all other ASEAN countries, only slightly ahead of Brunei. So I hope as our political relations improve, trade and investments will also see substantial growth. So
Yan po, narinig natin po ang statement made by Ambassador to Manila po, si Jingwan po, na may mga issues na i-mention po, totoo yun po, no? Especially when we talk about trading partners po between Philippines and China po, no? There's a lot of potentials for us to gain, no? Kung we will keep our relationship ties between China and the Philippines. Ang China is saying you can also make friends to US, no? Walang problema, no? Walang problema. Just like what China is doing when it comes to trading with US, they're doing trading po. Walang problema yun po, no? They don't want that to have conflicts between itong mga countries po, no? Especially in trading po. Because no one is an island, no? No man is an island. China needs US, China needs Philippines, Philippines needs China, China needs Philippines po. By doing so po, kung may mga conflict man tayo po, do it, find a solution through diplomatic ways po. Although I myself, if you're going to ask me, I was hurt when I heard ang remarks made by China also po, no? Dahil isang Pilipino ako po, na I feel hurt po. But we have to look at the problem, at the situation po, no? Mas malawak po, no? Because if we only follow itong mga ano natin, mga emotions siguro or pride natin po, na it will destroy po. At ano ang negative effect dyan po? Tayo po will suffer, no? Lahat. It will not be a win-win situation for both China and the Philippines. Maybe China, yes, menos ang ano nila, ang effect nila, but mas marami ang Pilipinas. I don't know if you agree with me po. So the best way, kung may mga problema tayo po, do it diplomatically po. Let authorities concerned, kaya ang Department of Foreign Affairs ng Pilipinas po, to deal with the problem and not other agencies, government agencies po. That's how I look at this situation. You just imagine po, ngayon, kahapon yata yun po, mayroon tayong Tourism Asian Forum dyan po sa Cebu. And ang secretary natin ng tourism is very happy to announce na visa-free ang mga Chinese to go to the Philippines po. Because alam natin po na we also need itong mga Chinese tourists to come to the Philippines po. But everything will go to the drain po, ang mga efforts natin, mga promotion natin sa Pilipinas po, to encourage foreigners, arrivals, Chinese arrivals to come to the Philippines po, kung hindi maganda ang relationship between our government, Chinese government and the Philippine government po. So that is the situation ngayon. So, klaro, mas disente po. That's it. That's what I want to share with you. Itong araw na Thursday, January 29 po. So, let's ponder. Let's ponder po and let's see po what will happen. So, ang next topic natin po, I want to share with you po, tungkol naman ito. Politika na naman. Let's go back to politics sa Pilipinas. Itong very vocal and aggressive sabihin natin political ano ba ito? Hindi naman ito supporter ni Duterte, but very vocal siya po, very vocal siya po si Atty. Guanzon po. Let's watch and listen to this video clip na I managed to get it po dyan sa social media natin po. Kayo na bahala to make your opinion or kayo na bahala po. Kasi since we talk about politics, it always involve Sara Duterte or mga Dutertes and the Marcoses po. And of course, whether we like it or not po, it also directly or indirectly involves the upcoming sabihin natin presidential election scheduled on 2028. Now is 2026 na po, And it's less than 1 year na. For me, it's less than 1 year. Because remember, by next year, by October po, ang mga kandidato, for political positions po sa gobyerno, will be filing their certificate of candidacy. So we are talking about politics here po, Let us not say malayo pa ang 2028 dahil ngayon, 26 na po, and slightly over 1 year na lang po, they will be filing already. Filing already ang certificate of candidacy po. So let's watch and listen to this.
Opening her package from Shopee. Look at Sara Duterte. Just playing with the kids.
Yes.
Opening her package from Shopee.
Yeah, nagsili sa dagat po. Going around every provinces.
And the question is, sino ang kandidato na makakakonect sa tao? People identify with her. Kasi kunyang po lang, I'll give you an image. O si John Vic Rimulya, candidate for president, will pick up a child who has Down syndrome. Di ba sasabihin mo, napaka-contrite naman nito? Photos lang to, di ba? Kasi hindi naman yan talaga mahilig sa bata. Alam ko may bata din siya. Bawat ko na, pero si Sara Duterte, picture na in the campaign. She picks up a child with Down syndrome. Nanay siya. And you will feel.
Relatable po.
Yes.
Opo.
That's the difference. So now, goal ba? Kung sa Bisaya pa itong mga BBM gang na ito, kasi wala silang kandidato. Papa-impeach nila, papa-blunder nila, pa-disqualify nila, kung ano-ano na. Lalo naman nagagalit ang mga tao. Sa atin naman, kung hindi kanyang gusto niya, eleksyonin natin. Bakit? Pwede ba snap election na lang? Diba? O, pero snap election now na.
Opo.
As in next month.
Eh kaso wala na pong pondo po. Paano po yun?
Yan lang. Pero may pondo daw sila sa pag, doon sa kay Akop.
Opo.
Humingi sila ng ilang, milyon, bilyon, ang Comelec para i-kandidato ulit doon sa kay Akop. Huwag na, pupuin nyo na yung anak niya. Total, ganun din naman mangyayari. O, sige na. That is what you call the argument of reductio ad absurdum. Let's make it absurd. Why hindi ba na election in Akop's district? Dahil just appoint his son na lang. Ganun din naman mangyayari. Diba? So, ang mga tao, inis na people are sick and tired. Mga magnanakaw sa gobyerno, and no matter what they say about Sara Duterte, hindi naniniwala yung mga Bisaya na nagnakaw si Sara. At saka even lawyers, confidential fund, 129 million, ginako niya ba yun? Eh sabi ng COA, may unmodified opinion sila.
Opo.
Wala namang problema. So, sa akin, hindi naman yan betrayal of public trust kung hindi siya nag-liquidate na maayos. COA, commissioner ako eh.
Opo.
Hindi kung mapatunayan sa COA na hindi niya na-liquidate na maayos, di mag-refund siya. Yun naman talaga ang rule. Paparefund siya ng commission. Pag hindi siya na-refund, siyempre abulit siya ng gobyerno.
Opo, dun siya
Yun lang. Pero yung nag-kickback siya dahil nag-commission siya, wala. Diba? Yung nag-ghost project siya, wala.
Alright, yun po, no? Pagkunting sipit solamente po, no? Tungkol sa politics po natin. So, siguro hanggang dito na lang muna ang programa natin, mga issues natin po, and I will continue to, sabihin natin, monitor ang mga sitwasyon dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially ang health ng presidente natin, ni Pangulong Junior, no? Na there is no such thing as aggravated daw ang diverticulitis, no? Sakit ni Presidente Bongbong Marcos. Hindi yung totoo po, no? Sabi ang Malacanang. And also, I will closely monitor po ang mga updates regarding ang Nipah virus po, no? Lumabas ng mga istorya po ngayon na ang Department of Public Health natin po in the Philippines, they are on alert, watching po ang sitwasyon ng Nipah virus. Because in India and Bangladesh yata yun po, no? May outbreak sila ngayon po, no? May outbreak sila po. So ito Nipah virus, I think it was reported before in 2014 yata yun po sa Malaysia, no? And ito po, these are galing from the horses po, sa mga animal po, no? Especially ang horses po, no? If you eat the meat of the horses po and then affected ito with Nipah virus, then makuha din ang mga tao po. And if it is not properly sabihin natin medicated, then it can cause fatal virus ito po, no? So I will continue to monitor. I'll see what will happen, and immediately whatever I have, I will make sure that ang mga followers ko dito po sa TikTok, The Real Talk with Nico, you will be properly informed. Although I won't be able to give you the break news, but definitely you will still get the news fresh pa rin po. So with this, Nico Fabian would like to say once again, thank you very much for making me a part of your day today. Malaysia, Samoa, the Philippines, God bless us all. I'll see you in my next episode. Bye, take care, and I love you.